Hello, I'm back. And I would like to welcome you back to the Nobody Asked for This podcast. This is episode number, we're like low to mid 80s, I think. So like 83-ish, maybe 84. I really could check this, and it also isn't important. Like, I don't know why I've decided that I need to start every episode of the Nobody Asked for This podcast with an episode count. But I do. I just right off the bat would like to let you know that I have such commitment and such dedication to the quality of this podcast that I actually started recording this podcast 12 hours ago. In fact, it might be 12 hours ago exactly. With full transparency, it is 9:26 p.m. January 10th, 2024. It's a bit brutal. Already 2024, which it's already been, 2024 has been a time. I have some thoughts. I have some early thoughts, some just early predictions. I don't know that it's going to be a good year. You heard it here first. I think we might have to just hunker down until 2025, but I'll hold off on that for the time being and just say I started recording this in the morning. I was in the car. I had some extra time on my hands, and I thought, you know what? Let's just see what comes out. And what came out was trash. And I care so much about quality assurance that I have decided to scrap that, I think it was 8 or 9 minutes. So that 8 or 9 minute section will never be heard. And I think it's for the best. And I just felt really proud of myself that I decided that, you know what, no, I'm not going to start an episode of the Nobody Asked for This podcast, especially the 83rd episode of the Nobody Asked for This podcast with me burping, which was in fact how that episode started. I went to click record. Again, this is a mere 12 hours ago. And yet I already feel like such a different person from that person who clicked record, burped, and then really didn't decide that, you know what, maybe we're going to start again. So I just went with it. I talked for 3, 4, maybe even 5 minutes about how, I was burping and how earlier on in the life of the podcast, I, let a burp slide once or twice. And that was at a time when people were still listening to the podcast. And by people, I mean close family and friends. Those people have since, hey, there's only so many hours in a day. I get it. No hard feelings. But it was still new enough at the time that, people were listening. And I was getting negative feedback, and I did a whole tangent on, burping, and then I went into something else. And I got to about the 9-minute mark, and I said, this isn't who we are. And by we, I mean me. And by our, I guess I mean our. I don't know. But, so yeah, we're going to try this again. And also, for whatever reason, I think I just do my best work in a beanbag chair. I've recorded some of our best episodes in this beanbag chair. Also, probably recorded some of our worst episodes in this beanbag chair. But hopefully, this here episode is, lucky number 83. Okay, now I feel like I do have to just double check and see what number episode this is, because at this point, this is episode number 83. Ding, ding, ding. I hope everyone has had what's another word other than great? A phenomenal. I feel like I say great a lot. I hope you've had a phenomenal first week and a bit of 2024. Now, let me tell you this. I don't have high hopes for 2024. I talked about it earlier in an earlier episode, how I don't like even number years. I can't explain why. I don't have a theory. I don't have, a string of proof of every even number year, this horrible thing has happened, and I think it's because of the even numbers. I have nothing like that. I have just more so a feeling, which is what 2024 is giving me. I think I just have a bad vibe. Things are off. Things are weird. I feel not correct, as you could say. Now, you could argue maybe I should just take it as a sign to go maybe get some blood work done, maybe go for a physical. It might be, something wrong with me. But, New Year, same me. I don't think I was a problem. I think I was fine. It wasn't my fault. I think that's actually going to be, we're talking in the last episode about New Year's resolutions. I think that's going to be my newest New Year's resolution. Like, I'm just going to be a bit defensive. I'm just going to blame other people. I'm going to take no responsibility in 2024 because I feel like I've been doing a pretty good job of that in 2023 and before that, pretty good. Obviously everyone has their days, everyone makes mistakes, everybody knows what I'm talking about, everyone feels that way. In the words of, I believe, Hannah Montana. That's a classic. Look it up. But yeah, I think I'm just going to start being like maybe a nightmare in 2024. Why not? And then we'll maybe regroup. We'll see how I fare in 2024, and then we'll, reevaluate what type of personality we'll bring into 2025. But I think it's worth a shot. You got to reinvent yourself every once in a while, or you're just going to get bored. For example, I'm recording this episode of the podcast in the dark. I've never done that before. Yeah, I'm not fully in the dark. I'm in a room where, like, you can light both sides of the room. You can light one side of the room, or you can light the other side of the room. I feel like I said that weird. Basically, I'm in a regular room, but you can have one side that's dark. Now, there's not like some fancy technology. It's literally like the light bulbs in one side go with one switch, and the light bulbs on the other side are connected to the other switch. Simple, really. And normally I would turn on the side that I'm in and leave the other side off for, electricity reasons. Greta appreciates it, I'm sure. But today I decided to turn off the side that I'm in and then on the side that I'm not in. So there is still light. I can't be sitting in the complete darkness, because that would just be sad. And how would I know? How would I know if I was talking properly into the microphone? I wouldn't. So I had to have a little bit of room, but that's where I'm at. So yes, I hope everyone has had a better start to 2024 than I have. I hope you feel better about 2024 than I do. And I hope you have a better year than I will. I want to start. Can you keep saying, every time I have a new thought, am I going to say, I want to start? I guess you can only really start once. So I want to continue with another New Year's resolution. I realized I've been doing some self-reflection lately, and I realize I get asked a lot why I'm screaming. Like, I'll be just having a conversation with somebody, and they won't address what I was saying. They'll just be like, why are you yelling? And at first, I thought, okay, well, clearly, I'm not yelling. And I want to be very clear, like, it's not like I'm mad about something. Like, I'll be talking about, like, what I had for lunch. And I'll be looking for some sort of feedback, or like, do you like chicken salad too? And they'll be like, why are you yelling? So apparently this is something I do. Apparently I yell. I don't know why, but it's happened enough that I feel like I have to not take responsibility for that, because we're not doing that in 2024. In my defense, most of this happened in 2023, so I'm not like fully breaking my New Year's resolution. It's just sort of, it's more of a reflection of 2023. Also, exciting update for me, I'm now, I'm at 9 minutes, which means I've now recorded. I'm now recording new. I'm reaching new heights as opposed to the scrapped recording from earlier this morning. The scrapped recording from earlier this morning, that will be the title of this podcast. Let me just write that down. The scrapped recording from earlier this morning. That is genius. I also will eventually, when this podcast becomes very popular and I become very rich and famous, I will be auctioning off those first 9 minutes with me burping and then doing a full diatribe explaining, why I left it in. I will be auctioning those off for charity. The charity of anyone's choice. I'm just going to I'm going to pick someone at random. They're going to pick a charity, and that's where the money's going to go. But back to the topic at hand. Why am I screaming? I don't know. I do want to address the situation. So just for anyone who has heard me talk in real life, again, I do this reminder once an episode. I know no one listens to this. I'm not actually thinking that I have fans or even haters at that point. I'd be lucky if I had haters. But just for it's kind of like a joke. It's sort of, I'm doing improv here, so just go along with me. But anyone who has ever had a conversation with me that you thought I was screaming, I would like to apologize. I was not screaming. I was not angry, but I don't think people think I'm angry. I think they're just confused. What I'm gonna blame it on is my sinuses. I need to go to an ear, nose, throat. Can you is the medical term ear, nose, throat doctor? Can you just be throat, nose, ear? Do you go to ear, nose, throat school? Okay, I have to say that is also a pretty good episode title. Ear, nose, throat school. But you know what I mean. I think it's called a ear, ENT, ear, nose, throat doctor. I need to go to one of those because I think I don't hear how loud I am until it's been pointed out. So, in my defense, when I'm recording this, I can see the recording lines. You can see the voice or the noise lines. I'm not maxing out. The red lines are not touching the extent that they could. They're not as high as they could be. So that has to mean something. Speaking of not being as high as they could be, that would be my sleep hours for just this past night. I was sleeping peacefully. I was reading a book. I wasn't doing both of those things at the same time, but I'll start from the beginning. I was reading a book. It was somewhere in the 10. I don't think I had reached 11 o'clock. I don't ever remember seeing 11 o'clock on the clock. And by the clock, I mean my phone, which I have to be careful about nowadays because, as I've said before, I dropped my phone probably two-ish months ago, maybe 3 months ago, maybe in October, who knows. I dropped it pretty hard, I guess, or I at the wrong angle, and I have a glaring vertical green line coming down the middle to right side of my phone. And then there's, for some reason, I would like to give an update on this. There's a thinner green line that's coming down the very right, almost corner of the phone. And then where the thicker green line is, there's now what looks to be an ink splotch, almost spreading at the bottom. So I'll fix that one day. I'm going to be really honest. I assumed I was going to leave that problem in 2023 by either fixing it or getting a new phone. I didn't do either of those two things. So we're going to work on it for 2024. But my point in saying all this is I think the thicker green line makes my phone brighter. So anytime I look at it, my phone sees that light that makes your brain wake up. I learned about that in a psychology class. Something about your phone screen makes your brain light up, and I think the green line makes my brain rather wake up even more or even faster, thus making it harder to fall asleep. So I try and just put my phone completely away before I'm tired and ready to fall asleep, so that by the time I'm tired and ready to fall asleep, I actually do fall asleep. But now, okay, I'm hearing a hole in my theory. I feel like I'm writing an essay. When did you ever start writing an essay for school, and then halfway through you're oh my god, my point makes no sense. There's nothing worse than that feeling of writing some sort of a persuasive essay where you're trying to prove a point, and even you no longer believe in what you're saying. That happened to me. Whatever number of essays I ever wrote, it's probably that exact same number of times that thing happened to me. Because let me tell you, I was an English major. I was also a psychology major, which means a lot of writing. And I did not read one book. I did not read a textbook. I did not read like the novel study or whatever. Never have. I don't think I've ever read a full, even going back to elementary school, I don't think I ever read the readings ever. Ever, not once. I definitely read like chapters. Like maybe I would read the first chapter of whatever book they were trying to hawk that day. Like Holes. I read the first chapter of Holes. Narnia. The Lion, the Witch, and whatever her name. Like I read maybe the first chapter. But that's all. Like I was not, and I could barely pull myself together enough to read the like Cliff Notes. And I was a pretty good student. Like I always did my homework. I always completed the assignments. I didn't always do it the easy way, I think is what I'm trying to say. Okay, this is kind of embarrassing because I Googled how I can tell how long a book is I go into like Apple Books or whatever and I see how long the audiobook is. And The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe is a 3.5 hour audiobook. So that's kind of embarrassing that I didn't just go ahead and read that because that would literally take like an hour or two. Because you know when they do the audiobooks, they say like, Jack and Jill went up the hill. It's like, okay, get with it. Like, hurry it up. We get it. To fetch a pail of water. So a 3.5 hour audiobook, you could just double it at 2 times speed, even 2.5 times speed. I've gone all the way up to 3.5 times speed. You could finish The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe in an hour. But no, I decided that in order to write my paper for Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, I was going to spend probably 6 or 7 hours Googling what happened in The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. I didn't even think to watch the movie because I thought that was bad. I thought what I was always scared of for watching the movie is I thought that there was going to be like obvious plot differences between the book and the movie, that if I wrote about those plot differences as if they happened in the book, but they actually happened in the movie, I would be giving myself away. So I was kind of smart. I was good with not getting caught. Now, the only problem is, as I was sort of getting to before, is that the effort it took to not get caught for being someone that didn't actually read the book was probably 4 to 6 times more effort than if I had just listened to the audiobook. So, but in my defense, audiobooks were not as prominent at the time of me being like novel study age. Definitely when I was in university, I had no excuse. But like Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, that was early elementary school. Like I didn't even know that I had like a iPod or anything at that point that I had access to listen to this book at 3.5 times speed so I can finish it in an hour. They really should have offered the audiobook. Like not everyone has to be a reader. I'm a reader now. I like reading now. Because as I said, I was reading yesterday, and I will finish that story, I promise. I probably started like 3 other stories. I think I started talking about my cracked phone somewhere in the middle there, which I love to bring up. For whatever reason, I realized like I like to point out the areas where I'm lacking. Like I have a pair of shoes that has some holes in it, and for whatever reason, I love to point it out to people. And I think it started as let me point this out so it's like you can't point it out. Like let me say the joke. But now I think I just have kind of lost it. Like I think I'm losing it, guys. I don't know. This is probably an indication, or this whole series really is a indication of me maybe not being sharpest crayon in the box or whatever. Is it called? Isn't this? No, it's not the sharpest crayon because crayons aren't sharp. You know what I mean? Whatever the limerick is there. But yeah, why I started talking about reading books in the first place was I was reading till about 10:30, and I thought, you know what, my eyes are tired, so I went to bed. For whatever reason, I woke up at 2, and I had my book, like, I I guess I got so tired when I was reading that I just closed the book and left the book on my chest. I left the book, and I got this thing for Christmas that it's like a light that goes around your, like it goes behind your neck, and then two little lights pop out, like at the side, like adjacent to your jaw, and then you can click them on so you can read, but you don't have to have like a big light on. So I turned the light off. I put the book on my chest. I put the light like on top of the book, and I fell asleep. I guess like perfectly still, like coffin style. Because when I woke up, the book was exactly where I left it, hadn't moved an inch, as was the light thing. So I basically woke up in the same placement as I fell asleep. The only difference was when I fell asleep, it was around 10, and when I woke up, it was 2 a.m. Now, I normally wake up usually once at some point during the night. I'll do just sort of like a check-in with myself, like a mind, body, soul, like how are we good? Are we feeling any? I think it really started during COVID, because I was basically just walking around waiting to catch COVID, not even in a scared way. I just kind of accepted that it was going to happen. So I'd wake up around like 1, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning and just do a little, no, okay, we're feeling good. Fever, no, chills, okay, we're good. And then I would go back to sleep. So I've continued to do that, except not in a medical context. I just sort of naturally get up. And I just sort of look around and think, okay, we're good. There's no ghosts. There's no threats. And I go back to sleep. Now, for whatever reason, I could not do the go back to sleep part today. I was up till probably about 4 a.m. And there became a point where I was like, if I'm not going to be sleeping, like I might as well just like start reading again. So I did. At about 3 o'clock in the morning, I started reading, like all the cool people do. And I actually... Excuse me, I'm yawning. Yeah, because I'm so tired. See, proof. What I do is I have on my book, I have a boring book. Sorry, not on my book, on my e-reader. I have a boring book that I know will just put me right to sleep. I usually download like a Shakespeare or like one of the novel studies I was supposed to read in elementary school, and fast asleep. So that kind of worked. I read for about 10 minutes, and I said, you know what? I'm going to try this whole sleeping thing again. And I went right to sleep. But I'm telling you, there's nothing worse. Maybe there's a few things worse, but there's nothing, just to be dramatic, there's nothing worse than not being able to go to sleep. Like, it's torture. You're just like staring at the ceiling. Like, there's nothing happening, nothing entertaining, nothing, because you're in this, like, should I, shouldn't I, of like, do I just get up and like start doing my taxes? Do I be productive? Do I just accept that I'm not getting sleep? But also, waking up at 2 a.m. is unacceptable. Like, I can't wake up at 2 a.m. and then just go about my day. Like, if I woke up at 4 or 4:30, then just accepting the fact that I'm awake and like maybe get a couple extra hours of the day is a possibility. You know, you could turn that into a positive. You could, again, start doing your taxes. It's 2024 now. It's January. Taxes it's coming up. When are taxes due? Like April? I don't know. But you could maybe start getting some receipts together, stuff like that. But waking up at 2 a.m., you can't wake up at 2 a.m. and then start living your life. Especially when your life is not set up for you to wake up at 2 a.m. I guess if you're like a morning newscaster, and you would probably wake up at like 3 or 4 normally. Like, okay, yeah, waking up at 2, big diff. But I can't be waking up at 2. I simply can't. But yes, luckily I was able to go back to sleep. There was also a slight incident that happened in the middle of this whole thing that involved a bathroom break, which I think might have been what woke me up to begin with. Because I woke up with the same unease that 2024 had presented me. And then, I don't want to get graphic, but there's like a physical manifestation of the release of that unease. But then I was still awoken for another hour and a half after that. So, but let's just say for a while, I didn't know what was it. Like I entered the bathroom not knowing what was going to happen, what was going to go down. Like, I didn't know. North, south, east, west, like I didn't know. And let's just say it wasn't as bad as it could be. So moving on from that, before I lose the few listeners that I have, what else happened this week? Oh, it snowed, which is just brutal. Like, if you're gonna snow in December. Snow is for December. It's maybe for like end of November. Snow is not for January. Like, you're late. You're 2 late. You're 3 late. You're 4 late. You're 5 late. Like, it's just, we don't need you anymore. We needed you on Christmas. We needed you to make Christmas look festive. We needed you to make, even like that week between Christmas and New Year's, like, we needed you then. We don't need you now. In fact, you're becoming a nuisance. And the you, of course, I'm referring to is the concept of snow. Like, I don't mind the snow. I accept the snow. And in fact, the type of snow we got was like snow where it looked nice, but when it was hitting the ground, the ground was already wet, so it wasn't sticking. So I'm fine with that. I'll take it. I accept. But it's just like, why? Like, snow in January. Like, we're moving on. I said this last week, like, once Christmas has passed, I like to almost like get rid of it right away so that it can come again. Like, there's nothing sadder than seeing a Christmas tree like January 27th and just thinking like you're not going to be relevant for another 10 months. You know, it's almost a reminder of it not being Christmas as opposed to a reminder of it being Christmas. Now, I know I'm supposed to smile because it happened, not cry because it's over, but I just haven't been able to do that yet. So, working with what I got. Also, speaking of weather, I was walking in the rain the other day, and I think I had like a groundbreaking thought. Like, first of all, how weird is it that water just falls from the sky, excuse me, out of nowhere? We can try and plan for it. We can try and, listen to the forecast, but, who knows? Who knows with them? I think they need to get a new calculator because they're telling you it's going to snow and then it's sunny, and then they're going to tell you it's going to be sunny and then it's raining, and then it's going to do all three in the span of 2 hours. So, I don't know about that, but like full water droplets just start falling from the sky, and it's not weird. It's completely normal. We buy outfits, like we buy clothes specifically for the rain. You buy jackets, you buy rain boots. Like, I think I'm about to ask a question that no one's asked. Like, have we tried to stop it? Like, we need to genuinely ask ourselves, world leaders, if I was ever in like a debate thing where I was the person asking the questions, I would have to hijack it first of all, because no one's going to ask the questions that I want to ask. I would have to just pretend that, like, hey, this is from Sally from Nantucket. She wants to know, what are all your thoughts on rain and how are we going to stop it? Like, how are we going to stop it? I'm going to Google that. Like, has anyone ever tried to stop rain? I assume it would be pretty hard, and I don't see it happening, but like, has anyone tried? Like, how has a rich person not like been getting married on a day that suddenly was forecasting rain, and then they, went to all their billionaire scientist friends and said, like, can we stop it? Like, that's for sure happened. That's for sure happened. People are asking it on Google, is there a way to stop rain? Well, there are methods such as cloud seeding that can potentially enhance precipitation in some areas. Stopping rain over a specific location is not feasible with current technology. Well, we need to update some technology. Okay, I guess in second thinking, like, we definitely do need rain for the trees and for like the environment. So I'm not against rain. I can handle some rain. I've just wondered, like, have we tried to stop it? I don't want to. Yes, I have to make that very clear. I don't want to stop it. We need the rain for the flowers, for spring to bloom. If, God forbid, there's like, I think from my understanding, the rain can sort of help clean clean out the air. I feel like I'm not making that up. I feel like I have heard that. But I don't know for sure. So I'm not saying we need to stop the rain. I'm just asking, like, has anyone tried? Yeah. And I think that is as good a place to leave you on as ever. You know, I really try and just ask the questions. I've never said this is a place for answers. This is a place for questions. And if you want to hear more of my questions, you can go to podcastnobodyaskforthis.podbean.com. On there, you can listen to all soon-to-be 83 episodes of the Nobody Asked For This podcast. You can also see the links to our podcast, the podcast, the iTunes thing, the podcast app on your iPhone, Spotify, a couple other different places. You can also see a link to our Instagram, our Twitter, our TikTok. Now, a lot of those of which have not been updated in a while, but they're on there. If you want to click follow, maybe you need an extra person in your following category. I don't know. I hope you all have a great week. I hope you all have hot chocolate at least once this week. It's a very good beverage. I recommend it. And yeah, I will catch you next week on the 84th episode. How exciting, 84. Let's go.